All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Kevin Wen, Head of Training. So today we're happy to invite Professor Gang Lee, Director of Building Informatics Group, Professor of Department of Architecture and Architectural Engineering from Yonsei University, to have a sharing in AI in BIM, Reshaping Design Workflows, and the BIM Handbook, 4th edition. Before the sharing section from Professor Lee, we'll invite our Vice Chairman, Guan Ting, have some updates about the HKIBIM. Guan, please.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Good afternoon, members and non-members. Welcome to this technical webinar. I'll just do a quick run through of HKIBIM's introductions. So I'll just spend 5 minutes and then I'll hand over to Professor Lee. Okay, Guan Ting, Vice Chair of HKIBIM for these terms. About HKIBIM, to date, established in January 2009, we are celebrating 15th anniversary this year, 2024. We have around 1,400 members to date. The objective of the institute is to promote BIM, foster general awareness and understandings, and all the concerted efforts in the community towards advancement of the objects, establish and advance the standards of BIMs, establish links with relevant institutes and tertiary educations, to research, facilitate, and promote means of better management of BIM too, and then providing guidance on careers in BIM management professions. HKIBIM's CBD and events. So today we have arranged more than 12 sessions, including an app tasting day that was held earlier this month. Last year, we have also set up the first BIM automation arena. And then the institute has also formed a BIM songs, which we have shared with the industry. HKIBIM Award 2023 was held on January 26, 2024. So 42 awards were presented to projects, organizations, and individual BIMers. We have a record-breaking of more than 32 tables of attendees. Video competitions was also held and completed this year. So these are all the relevant winners of the short videos. Recent updates. The app stores are up running, so we are sharing submissions from the applicants and the candidates in our automation arena last year. We are organizing 2 meetings annually with development bureaus, sharings of ideas with the government policies from BIM's point of views. And the last recent one was a study on the contractual BIMs, which we have gathered public opinions, including our members, and share with the government. Roadmap for adopting BIM for GVT submissions and preparations for consultations. So again, the chairman, together with the board, has also participated in these consultations. The chairman and the board has also organized Shenzhen visits to the factories to visit automated production lines and also IoT solutions for energy savings. For this month, we have launched the HKIBIM China divisions, which we have passed through in the last AGM. So please go to our websites and look through the different membership requirements and also different categories. For upcomings, the local competition is completed, including the video competitions. So the upcoming one is the HKIBIM 15 years of publications. So stay tuned with this. The international conference, which will be held tomorrow and day after tomorrow on 30th and 31st. the venue will be at Ocean Park Marriott. So yeah, if you're not gotten your tickets yet, so please try to let us know. We'll or register for the conference. We'll get your conference pass too. Corporate members today, we have around 11 corporate members. So please try to promote this for members and non-members. We need your support. We need your corporate support too. So this is our publicity channels. So the latest one, we have formally set up WeChat channels. So please scan the QR codes and you can stay tuned with all happenings in outreach and BIM. So thank you, everyone. I'll now pass it to Professor Lee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kwan. So now the time we will hand over to Professor Lee for his presentation and sharing. Professor Lee, please.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you for inviting me to this HKIBIM technical sharing webinar. I'm going to talk about two things. Oh, by the way, my name is Okay, so my name is Gang Lee. I've heard that many times that my name is pretty popular in Hong Kong, although it's not. It is a rare name in Korea, and even the Chinese characters, but that's pretty popular, and even in Chinese character. I'm going to talk about two things, which are going to be a precursor to two things. I'm going to give a keynote tomorrow at the 11th International Conference on BIM Technologies. So there I am going to talk about AI in BIM assisted design processes. And another thing is that the fourth edition of the BIM Handbook will come out soon, probably towards the end of this year or early next year. I've been participating in the BIM Handbook from the third edition as an author, and I'm going to give you a preview of this book in this session. So let me start with the AI in BIM-assisted design processes. I am pretty sure that many of you are familiar with this image. If you have not, this was a hot issue about 2 years ago in 2022. This was a digital art made by somebody named Jason Allen. He's not a painter. He's an IT programmer, computer programmer, and this image got famous. This picture got famous because it won one of the competitions. And it was generated by typing in text instead of using oil painting. The name of this work is called Space Opera. The name of this work is Space Opera Theater. I think it represents the concept very well. There was a survey by RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects, a couple of months ago, and they released the report entitled RIBA AI Report 2024. And it says that many people are using AI for the only design generation. And especially many people are using AI for only design stage visualizations. And 70% of the respondents said that they are always using it or often using it, or sometimes they using AI to generate visualization of their work. There are a lot of generative AI models, including Midjourney, which was used to generate the Space Opera Theater project. But there are DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, LookX, Playground AI, Ideogram, Leonardo AI, Canva, Vitruvius, and Vera, and more. So probably you are using some of this, I guess, or have tried some of this. There are two ways to do it. If you're not familiar with this, you can type in text as a prompt and then generate an image, or you can input image as an input and then get a rendered image of that. So SketchUp kind of added stable diffusion on top of it and made something called SketchUp diffusion. There is a Revit has something similar to this. Revit Vera. Vera actually has a connector to Revit, and you can do similar things. So if you have a rough sketch or messing of a building generated in a SketchUp, then you can use SketchUp Diffusion, which is an add-on to SketchUp, to create an images like this. An advantage of using this approach is that you can reduce a lot of time. You can immediately get the rendering from this tool, and also you don't need a high-end machine to do this because it's not real calculation, real mathematical calculation, but it's image faked by a generative AI model. But anyway, so now these generative AI models, image models, are being coupled with the large language models, and large language models are becoming large multimodal models, LMMs. So, for example, ChatGPT is now ChatGPT now includes DALL-E, Gemini. The Google product has Imagine and Party. Llama Meta product has a make a scene as part of them. And also they can read an image and describe what the image is about. For example, if you use a PowerPoint has a function called alt text. If you move your mouse over an image, then it will show you a description of the image, and that's kind of a thing that large multimodal models can do. Let me step back a little bit and talk about the history of the use of AI in architecture. One of the earliest or known ones is ArchiGAN. It used something called GAN, Generative and Adversary Network, to first get a footprint of a building from a site layout, and then create or divide the footprint into something more close to a drawing or floor plan, and then to get a furniture layout from the program. So it used GAN for three tasks. And then it was developed further to something called SpaceMaker in 2020. However, it was it wasn't a vector image, which was not a CAD image, but it was more a raster image, bitmap image. So in 2020, a research team developed something called HouseGAN, which can create a vector image CAD drawing from bubble diagrams automatically, again using GAN. It was further developed into HouseGAN++ in 2021. After 2020, there were, this is another effort by my team. We tried to create a facade renderings from rough sketches automatically using GAN. From 2022, there were many commercial products which use these technologies as well as generative design tools or capabilities. One example is planfinder.xyz. And the other one is called Finchit 3D. Finchit 3D uses generative design to, for example, in this example, it's showing that it can create floor plans optimized for CO2 emission and energy consumption. Another example is architectures.com. I'm not sure how to read it correctly, but it's architecture, something like that. But it's similar. You can create a building block and it automatically creates a floor plan. It's not only in 2D, but if I skip this, it's also in 3D. So it's pretty advanced. I'm not sure how much is implemented, or is it fake or true, but I believe this is pretty advanced. And there is something called Autodesk Forma, which used to be called Autodesk Space Maker. And there are many companies, AI-based BIM design companies in Korea. One of them is 1011. In Korea, 70% of residential buildings are apartment buildings. So, but apartment buildings have very complex requirements, legal requirements. So it has this system is called Build It, and the system has many code compliance checking tools as well as automated optimized design generation tools. And it can adjust the interactive, it can adjust the provide optimized building designs interactively with a designer. Another one is called Flexity. It's a flexity.app. So it can also create all the conceptual design, which complies to building codes and regulations, and also it can generate parking lot design automatically from the layout of a building. And it can architects can try out different scenarios using this automated tool, and it's claiming that it can create the schematic design in 1 minute. There's a slightly different tool being used a lot in Korea, a service used a lot in Korea, which is called landbook.net. And it uses automated schematic design generation to show the feasibility of a real estate development project. So it doesn't give you a detailed design, but it gives you a very schematic design, which you can use to show, you can try and test the feasibility evaluate the feasibility of a project. Another service is called How Build, and it also creates an only schematic design. It claims that it can create the schematic design in 3 seconds, but the purpose is slightly different. The purpose of for the How Build to generate all this schematic design is to give the clients only cost estimation and schedule project timeline. So there are various services that are provided also in Korea. The RIBA report, RIBA AI report, also says that building design is so complex now, we need more and better digital tools using AI, and I fully agree with that. But if you use the current tools, that's too difficult. So I think in the future, we'll have, there gotta be, there gotta be some tools that can be interactively used by an architect. If you think about like not very complex tools such as Revit or ArchiCAD, if we don't use Revit or ArchiCAD for like every month, then or there is an upgrade to the tool, then it'll take some time to adjust to or recall the functions of the tools, although they are not very complex tools. So what if we can just ask a tool to do something for us? So my team developed something called natural language-based architecture detailing through interaction with AI, Nadia, and this works like this. So we've been using Villa Savoia as an example because it was designed in 1929, when the reinforced concrete was not used a lot. So it did not have many details, did not have good details. So the scenario is something like, what if we can apply modern technology, reinforced concrete technology to detail this thing? And I've just asked Nadia to create a library, exterior library object for us for the building in Poissy, France, which is where the Villa Savoia is located. And he created one for me, but now I'd like to change the structure to brick, just for the sake of the experiment, and also change the exterior wall with a lighter color. And also I'd like to add membrane because the first one did not have membrane layer, which can be used as a waterproofing layer. Now I ask Nadia to replace the exterior wall with the newly created library object. So now it's updating the exterior wall with the newly created wall. So now you can see that the color of exterior wall was changed to the white one. Actually, if you zoom in, there were more details in it. So this was what we did last year. Now I believe that in the near future, BIM tools will be operated by spoken languages. So I call this concept speak to BIM. We can query data from BIM using spoken language, or you can control view and drawing generation using commands, spoken commands, and we can detail things similarly and optimize or get cost estimation in the same manner. So using this concept, we create something called Nadia S, Nadia with speech recognition capability, or Nadia via speech. And I'm going to talk about this tomorrow at the 11th International Conference on BIM Technology. So if you're interested in it, you can join the conference. Or there is a the YouTube video about this, so you can watch the video, but I'm going to explain how it works tomorrow. So this is the first part of my presentation, and I'll move on to the second one. So of course, there have been the third edition of the BIM Handbook was released in 2018. We worked on the third edition for like 3 years, from 2016 to 2018, and it was released in 2018. But since 2018, there have been a lot of changes, especially in terms of AI and deep learning. So there was a huge impact of AI on the upcoming fourth edition of the BIM Handbook, and there were some other changes too. So these were the authors of the third edition. I am here. Chuck Eastman sadly passed away. He was my advisor, and we had I have very good memories with him. So it was sad. Paul Tycho, another lead author. Actually, Chuck Eastman and Paul Tycho. Professor Paul Tycho was the founder of Sci-Fi Stanford, and he's close to 90 years old now. So he decided not to join the fourth edition. So we needed 2 more authors. So Luciana Bordi and Marcia Burpagni are new authors. And when we recruited them, we thought about distribution by discipline. So Luciana is working for Massachusetts Sports Authority in the US, and Marcia is working for the Maze contractor in the UK. And also we thought about the, oops, sorry. I pressed the wrong button. Distribution by region. So I'm from Asia, and Rafa is from Europe, Middle Eastern area, Marcia, Europe again, and UK, Luciana from North America. So I'm going to go through what have been changed chapter by chapter. The first chapter, of course, is an introductory chapter, so it talks about new things. And chapter two and chapter 3 have gone through a major update. Even the structure of the organization, structure of the two chapters are totally different in the third edition and the fourth edition. So now the chapter 2 is about the core technologies of BIM. So what do you think are the core technologies that enable BIM? So we thought that there are 4 core technologies of BIM and or 4 core enabling technologies of BIM. And the first one is object-based parametric modeling. The second one, interoperability and interfacing technologies. The third one is the object-based project management and collaboration. And the fourth one is BIM standards. We have well-defined object structures and parametric object definitions. Thanks to that, we could have very advanced BIM authoring tools, BIM high-quality information generators. There have been a lot of changes in terms of, or a lot of activities in terms of BIM standards since 2018. And probably, I think there are like 20 or 30 new ISO standards related to BIM. For example, I think everybody is familiar with ISO 19650. There is a series of standards from this. So there are 6 or 7 or 8. So ISO 19650 is the largest change, but there is a IDM data schema, part 3, ISO 29481, level of information needs standard, BIM container, and also there is a IFC 4.2, newer version of IFC. Now people are working on IFC 5. So we divided the BIM standards into 2. Traditionally, when we talked about standards, that was IFC, Information Framework Standards, or ISO 12006. Now I think, more focus on, there are more focus on the information management and requirements these days. And there are a lot of standards related to information management and requirements today. Chapter 3 talks about BIM tools, platforms, and environments. By BIM platforms, we mean BIM authoring tools. By BIM servers, we try to distinguish BIM servers from CDE solutions, although we know that BIM servers are also referred to as CDE solutions in industry, but according to ISO 19650, CDE solutions can be non-digital solutions. So based on that definition, we try to define BIM server as a term to represent what we call probably in many places as BIM CDE solutions. Object-based collaborative project management tools. BIM tools are the tools which are not BIM platforms or BIM servers, and we call the ecosystem of using BIM tools, platforms, and servers BIM environment. Chapter 3 basically reviews these tools. So we needed a lot of help from the industry because we know some tools, but there was no way that we know every tools in detail. So for BIM platforms, we reviewed Allplan, ArchiCAD, Digital Project CATIA, and 3D Experience, Bentley Open System Series, Revit, Tekla Structures, Vectorworks Design Suite, and AutoCAD-based applications. When we reviewed these tools, we had a lot of discussions of whether we should keep AutoCAD-based applications as in the BIM platform category. By the way, we have the SketchUp, Rhino, and some other tools, the only design tools not in this category, but we reviewed those tools in chapter 5, the BIM for architects and engineers. But anyway, going back to this issue, some domains in the AEC still uses a lot of AutoCAD-based applications, and AutoCAD per se is becoming object-based parametric tools. So we thought it was meaningful to have AutoCAD-based applications in this category. BIM servers, there are a lot of BIM servers, Autodesk Construction Cloud, which used to be called BIM 360, BIM Plus, Graphisoft, BIM Server, and BIM Cloud, Constru, Open Source BIM Server, Procore, ProjectWise, iModel, iTwin, Trimble Connect, and more. When you select these things, including BIM platforms and BIM tools, we had two criteria. The first one is, of course, the tools had to be used a lot. But another one was that even if the tools are not used a lot, if we think that it's worthwhile introducing the tool to the industry, then we should include the tool in the category, even if it disappears in the next few years, whether we don't want that. There are many design review and collaboration tools. If there is one tool that the industry should learn, I think it's how to use model viewers. Many people do not know how to manipulate model viewers. So whenever I have a chance to talk to people, industry people, I said, don't teach BIM platforms as the first thing. Teach how to use BIM model viewers first, and then as in the advanced classes, teach BIM platforms such as Revit or ArchiCAD or CATIA, even CATIA. But anyway, the BIM model viewers that we included in this version is Adobe Acrobat 3D, Autodesk BIM 360, Autodesk Viewer, Autodesk Navisworks Freedom, AutoView, BIMX, ProjectWise Navigator, Solibri Anywhere, XBIM Flex. Also, there are, I mean, these are not new, but there are real-time rendering for extended reality, Landscape, Future, Lumion. Future is becoming more than just rendering tool. You can do 4D simulation and many others. So we talked about that in the first edition too. For project collaboration, we reviewed 3D Depot, Repos, Bluebeam, New Forma Project Center, and Revisto. For model checker, Autodesk model checker, and for Revit, BIM Assure and BIM Classify, Solibri, KBIM Slide, and Synapse Verify 3D. For construction management tool, we looked at reviewed Backcell Manager, IRBI2, Navisworks Manage, and there are a lot more. But so again, based on our criteria, we reviewed some of the tools, but not all of them. Again, we couldn't review these tools without help from experts. So these are some of the contributors. The tools were reviewed mostly by us from the beginning, and then we sent our review to these people for their review. Or sometimes, in some cases, we had to ask the people to review the tool because we didn't have access to the tools, and then we had to adapt the text from them, considering our goals and the context of the review, our review. The chapter 4, from chapter 4, we have specific targets. Chapter 4 is for owners and facility managers. One big thing is that now owners know a lot more, and ISO 19650 had a great impact on that. So people started asking for more detailed things, more detail. They have many owners have a very detailed list of objects and properties that should be submitted to them towards the end of a project, something like this. And another thing is that some owners are using BIM for maintaining their large projects. One example, one case study we have is the use of digital twin and BIM for operating, managing airport in Korea. This example is from Korea Airport Corporation, KAC. And so they use it for, of course, for facility management and monitoring of incoming and outgoing airplanes and passenger traffic, but also they use it for leasing spaces for the tax-free stores. Chapter 5 is for architects and engineers, and this chapter has been rewritten, entirely rewritten. It became a common practice to use reality capture for remodeling projects, and also scan to BIM. And there is a report by LookLab, one of the advanced companies, regarding scan to BIM, and it reports the company reports the challenges and opportunities of scan to BIM. These images are created by the authors. The first two are created by me, and the bottom one is created by Raphael Sachs. The first one is an example of from text descriptions to rendering, and the second one was from image to rendered images. I tried to come up with something silly, so I use a paper example. The third one is actually a house of Raphael Sachs, which he is building now. So he wanted to try out different materials and different background and so on. So these were images from Raphael Sachs. And these were all created using generative AI. Again, AI can be used for early design generation. Also, it can be used for improved interoperability. If you look at the physical model, the connection points are not really aligned. And using AI, you can find the logical connection points, which are used a lot by the structural engineers. BIM can be used for the simulation. It can be integrated into a simulation to get a real-time simulation results. Generative design and AI have been used a lot by architects, but not by civil engineers. But there was a very interesting case study by DL-ENC in Korea, which used generative design for designing underwater tunnels. So the competition was, initial plan was to build 2 underwater tunnels, but because of the budget issues, the government decided to build one first and the other one later. But using generative design, the DL-ENC engineers could evaluate over 12,000 design alternatives. At the end, they proposed the forked design on the right-hand side of the slide. And of course, the government was really happy. The government organization was really happy, and DL-ENC got the project. The other case study was done with the Volvera and Arab. And so traditionally, structural engineers do not provide shop drawings, but the Arab was asked to develop shop drawings for the project. And by being involved during the construction phase, the Arab could provide more details and more information to the contractor. And also they could get, from the Arab side, they could get more money, of course, by providing more services. So it was a win-win for the contractor and also for the structural engineer. Chapter 6 is for contractors. Sorry. And contractors are also using AI a lot for detailing. And there's 4D has been used a lot in construction, but there's advanced tools for 4D simulation. And one of the notable things is that there's a lot of mobile apps and technologies integrated with BIM. So these are some examples. And scan to BIM, of course, I think this became like a common practice every year to use scan to BIM and site monitoring. And also you can do activity tracking using the CCTV and AI models. Chapter 7 is for subcontractors and fabricators. Of course, there have been a lot of changes. We have a new case study from Fochi, and it's a curtain wall fabricator, and it uses BIM for high-end curtain wall design, fabrication, and installation. And this case study describes how the company is using BIM throughout the life cycle of a project. Chapter 8 is about facilitators of BIM adoption and implementation. So by BIM facilitator, we mean something like BIM guidelines, mandates, roadmaps, maturity models and measures, education and training, certification programs, considerations for adoption and deployment, legal security issues, best practice issues, and so on. Of course, they are all interconnected. So once you have a BIM roadmap, you need guidelines to support, to let people know how to achieve the goal. And of course, the roadmap will be probably guided by BIM mandates. And to know whether you achieve the goal or not, you need to have a way to measure the success. So that's BIM measures. And this is not a one step or one cycle thing. You need to, once you have BIM guidelines and execution plans, then from the execution, you should get BIM best practices. Then based on case studies, success or failed cases, you can evaluate what works or what does do not. And then you can update the BIM guidelines. You can refine knowledge, and you can have evolved BIM knowledge or BIM skills. So this has to be cyclic. This chapter 8 has report of the state of the art on many things, like certification program. There are many BIM certifications, people certification program developed by, one example is one by the Building Smart International. Hong Kong has one, and many other countries also have BIM certification programs. And also, the chapter 8 includes a report of the BIM mandates of many countries, and also it has reports on how BIM is taught at universities and so on. So this could not be done only by us, so we needed some help from the external people, and these are some of them. Chapter 9 is about the future of BIM. Of course, the chapter had to be, the chapter has to be rewritten. And we slightly, this was included in the third edition too, but we had to change it, the terms a little bit, or name of each phase a little bit. I think we are either at the two-track BIM, I mean, use of BIM and drawings at the same time, 2D drawings at the same time as main communication media. by collaborative BIM, we mean the use of BIM as the main communication media. I think we are at the two-track BIM or collaborative BIM level, and some advanced projects are trying to achieve BIM for construction 4.0. We used to call this lean BIM, but the concept is the same. It has to do with the automation of construction automation. Connected BIM is the heavy use of AI and detailed data-based driven decision making, and the use of detailed integration of BIM and digital twin and smart cities and so on. I think we are a little bit away from, I mean, some projects are trying that out, but I think we are still in a pilot phase in terms of using connected BIM. So previously we predicted that BIM for construction 4.0 will come in the 2030s, but I think we need to postpone that a little bit. So the target for construction BIM for construction 4.0 will be 2040. Connected BIM probably 2050. Chapter 10 used to be case studies, but we decided to remove chapter 10, and instead of putting case study as a separate chapter, since we have a lot of good case studies, we decided to have short case study in each chapter instead of having a separate long case study chapter. This is similar to going to a supermarket. If you go to a supermarket where there is a beer, there is a side menu for beer, right? So it's conceptually similar. But the main reason that we decided to do this was because we wanted to have more case studies, small case studies than full case studies in each chapter. Some other things, the 4 will be written by Phil Bernstein, and there is a dedication to Chuck Eastman, late Chuck Eastman, and there was a request to include 4 by Jerry Leslin, which was included in the first edition. So we are going to include 4 by Jerry Leslin back from the first edition. So these were the main changes. So this is it, and thank you for listening to my talk.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee. So now we are going into the Q&A section. Before we are receiving the question, maybe just start some simple question from myself first. So Professor, you show quite a lot of those AI's applications and those platforms, which they are very hot topics, not only in AEC, right, in all industry. But most of them, from myself, I can see most of them, they're all focusing on the text and the images. But Professor Lee, have you seen or any ideas, the new ideas about how the AI generate not image but geometry, maybe in 3D?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any of them?
So architecture.com, tuckers.com claims that they can do that.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm going to talk about our effort. I agree that that's pretty rare, and especially use of AI for detailing. I haven't seen that yet, except for my team's work. So so yes.
That could be
so I'm going to talk about how we achieve not yet. The journey that we took to get there.
Yeah, interesting. So actually, I'm another question. So we have been seeing quite a lot of those AIs happening on the design stage. But what about the construction stage or more over the O&M, the operation and maintenance? Any application they are developing on that?
Sure, a lot. I mean, as I explained in one of the slides, people use AI to track people that can be done, and also equipment that can be easily done. And now people are trying to deploy robots to monitor sites. By robots, I don't mean four-legged robots only, but also the unmanned ground vehicles. So the video or image-based site monitoring works pretty well because the objects on site is pretty limited.
Yeah.
So it's not that difficult to train the AI models to recognize some objects. And also you can easily compare scan to BIM, easily compare the objects with the images, BIM model with the images brought from on site. So it works pretty well. Some other things are like defect detection and management. That's one of my team's major projects too, but I think it's used a lot. Safety monitoring. So there are, if you go to an academic conference these days, all the topics, probably 70% of topics are related to AI, use of AI in safety management. And my team is also working on that too. So that's pretty popular topic. Yeah.
I see.
There are a lot more, like automated cost estimation, automated schedule estimation. Those are also a big topic. But the issue is the data. If you want to get accurate cost estimation, of course, whether you use the traditional statistical approach or the advanced deep learning approach, you need a lot of reliable data. That's an issue. Yeah.
Because I'm from a client perspective, and we are still waiting for a kind of a tools, just like I feed the AI with a BIM model. Maybe I ask them a question, the QS asking how many concrete we have been spent on this project, just like that, right?
Yeah. Speaking of Q&A, so the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport of Korea, MOLIT, gets like 1,000 a lot of questions per day. So the ministry is developing a way to respond. It will be responded by a person, but it takes a lot of time to get the information, to check the information and give the interpretation of certain building codes and regulations. So they are trying to automate the first draft generation for the answers.
So, Q&A is on kind of.
So it's LLM based approach, but there is something called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So many researchers are also working on that too.
Yeah, interesting.
Including our team.
Yeah. Interesting.
So there are a lot more examples in the book and also
Okay.
One question for me, Professor Lee. You mentioned about Korea Airport, right? Korea Airport corporations. So they were implementing BIM, they were implementing digital twins. Can you just share more insights? We know one of the implementation, one of the BIM users is video space management, right? So I think it's happening in a lot of these commercial buildings, airports. But is there any other examples like monitoring of passengers in and out of the airports, right? To using facial recognitions, technology and so on.
Right. So they have a technology to track in terms of passenger tracking. They have a technology to track certain passenger, but what they do is they kind of change the person to like what is it called? Anonymous model. So so they, instead of showing actual person, they use a model which has the same shape. So using that, they can still track someone is where, and they can let the passenger know, and also the airplane crew know that the late passenger is where. Something like
but not the actual person.
But in the day, so they are kind of what is it called? They are kind of there's a term for that, like blacking out the guy, the personal information. But it only tracks where, if they want to know, they know where guys.
Okay.
And also there are all a lot of so Incheon Airport, sorry, Gimpo Airport is another very busy airport in Asia.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of airplanes coming in and out. And if you're working on an airport project, so you probably know that there are a lot of planes which are safely landing, but very dangerous way. So they are actually monitoring all the incoming and outgoing airplanes in real time in 3D.
Okay.
And they had to figure out how to represent the large land, the taxiing space in 3D because it's actually a little bit rounded.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out how to map the BIM image to the GIS, rounded GIS image.
Yeah.
So they have a digital twin for that and for the passenger tracking and for facility management. And they are also managing again, the tax-free stores using digital twin. So this was the first phase of the project, and it was so successful that the senior managers liked it. So they are going for the second round, second phase. So we have a new airport called Kadokdo Airport. And so the KAC is managing like about 14 airports in Korea, not only the Gimpo Airport. And so there's a new airport which will use BIM from the beginning of the project. So it's under construction now. I think it's not even under construction, but it's in the very early phase of a project. So it'll be a very challenging project. An interesting project. And also, by the way, they also use the automated building code and regulation checking, design compliance checking tool for the project.
Similar concept like solid green, right?
Yeah. And KAC is the first ISO 19650 certified organization, I think, in the world.
Yeah. Okay.
Or in Asia or something like that.
Very informative. I think in Hong Kong we have this smart airport innovation conferences a couple of years ago. So yeah, definitely we got a lot of overseas expertise coming into Hong Kong and sharing of this all the insights.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we are going to restart this again.
Okay.
So just a couple questions more from my side before we go. For site verifications in Hong Kong, we are using extensively on laser scannings, where we adopt these point clouds to verify the BIM models. As we all know, the downside of it is the point cloud could be really heavy, right?
Yeah.
We're running huge point cloud, gigabytes, 100 gigabytes of these point clouds. If you're not doing demarcation on the point clouds, and then importing on this point cloud, to compare against this design intent or construction models, this takes time. So yeah, I think I'm just going to ask if you have any insights into some of these automations. A lot of people are having huge interest. I myself are looking forward to see some of these automations that will really help our work.
Yeah, that have been a big issue. I mean, managing a large data of point cloud data has been a big issue. So of course there are companies and products that can handle very large point cloud data. I forgot. I mean, I listed 3. I think in the BIM Handbook. I forgot the names of companies and the products, but yeah, there are services for that, and they use distributed computing to make it fast. And some of them are working on scan to BIM services too. So, I can give you the names of the products.
Yeah, I see a couple of slides about Hexagon's technologies.
Yeah.
Okay. Most BIM users, BIM measures, right? You mentioned about in your new BIM handbook. That's way to measure ROI for a lot of these clients. It's always a big topic for us, even for clients. We are asking ourselves, what is the ROI? Yeah. Unless you do it twice, right?
Yeah. So I've done some return on investment or cost benefit analysis, especially in the beginning of BIM era. I think it's necessary, especially in the beginning of a BIM project, to gain the trust by senior managers. But I don't think that is necessary. I mean, you can measure ROI in terms of monetary value, but what I learned was that I monitored many BIM projects, and one of them used BIM very well, and I looked at what made people move, and it was not the monetary value. Of course, senior managers like to see the monetary value, whether it's trustful, reliable or not. But what made people to move, I have a principles. If there are new technology or new technologies or new systems, then what made people accept or adopt the system is that first, the users must have direct benefits. I mean,
Agreed.
if you can gain a lot of money, that's one thing. But another thing is that if you can type in something once and do not have to produce reports over and over and over, then they will type in the thing. But if they see that that doesn't work, then they will not input anything into the system. So that's one example. Another thing was that there was a guy who did not like BIM, but one day he decided to try out BIM and for cost estimation. The reason he did not try out the cost estimation function of BIM was that he knew that it's not reliable. There can be a large gap because if you look at BIM models, there are a lot of overlaps between models, especially early ones, and so on. So he did not use it, but towards the end of the day, he had to place an order for a ready-mix concrete truck every day. So he thought that if I can get a cost estimate or for the amount of reinforced concrete by clicking a button, then that would be great. So he decided to use that function because he got a training of cost estimation or quantity takeoff from a BIM model. So he did that, and it used to take him a couple of hours to get the cost estimate manually or using traditional method and place an order. After he used the BIM model to get a quantity takeoff and place the order for the ready-mix concrete trucks for the next day, for 30 minutes, he decided to switch it to BIM method. And the reason, the thing that motivated him to do that was because if he has to spend 2 or 3 hours towards the end of the day, then that means that late night work. But if he can finish it in 20 or 30 minutes, then he can go back home, like after work. So he was really happy with the approach, and he decided to use it, whether the company could earn money or not from BIM. It didn't care. So yes, ROI study is really important. And if you want to do that, you have to do it. You have to set up a very well established plan from the beginning. If you try to run a ROI study after a project, you cannot get the information that you need. So you need to set up a very well established plan, and then run the ROI experiment from the beginning. Probably you can have a ghost project, or you can ghost a project and compare the result and so on. But yes, you can get an ROI, good ROI from that. But I think what is more important is to monitor what will really change people or people's attitude.
Yeah, I think in Hong Kong, at least the Development Bureau and the government is trying to set up pilot projects, and it's become a key important topics. How do they measure? I'm pretty sure that the government, Hong Kong government, has really set up some of these key factors. How do they measure? be implemented?
Yeah, I propose something called goal-driven approach for measuring the success level of a project. I said goal-driven approach because sometimes people know that the project will be over budget. But they do it because I mean that was how the project was designed from the beginning. Or people know that it'll exceed the deadline because it was done in a hurry and for a political reason they had to set the deadline for that day, but which is impossible deadline to meet. So if you try to use that the schedule or the product duration or the cost budget as the standard metrics to measure ROI, then in such cases you will fail.
Yeah.
So if it is the goal of adopting BIM for this project is to reduce cost, then you should measure the cost reduction rate, right? If the goal is to reduce the schedule, then construction duration, then that should be the goal. So that's what I mean by goal-driven approach. If the goal is to improve the quality of a product, then the reduced error rate should be the target. If so depending on the goal of a product, you can say whether this project is successful or not.
Yeah. So design error as one, they reduce as much design error as possible as one of the goal.
Yeah.
So the goal driven should be reduction of site queries. Right.
Yeah.
So we should follow. Okay. Yeah. Maybe we'll leave the time. We'll open it up to the floor.
Yeah.
There's a couple of questions.
Yeah. Should I answer these two questions?
We defer from the King Wong first.
Yeah.
So he is quite interested in how again you presented. So is the house scan generating layout with AI learn regulations, or we have to teach them or input some requirement for them?
So house scan is again it's an image. I mean the what it generates is an image. So it's a bitmap image. Of course you can and it doesn't really care about the building codes and regulations. So what you do is you give an input image and you give a lot of output images, and then you can train the AI again model on the outcome images. So it doesn't know why these are the output images, but it mimics. If you give this black polygon, then it gives you something with nice divided colors, pattern colors. So yes, it is stupid. Now there are better ones. House scan was like 5 years ago. Now there are more advanced ones. I think in the future we will have a mixed hybrid approach. I mean, deep learning and hybrid approach between deep learning approach and rule-based approach.
So actually, it really not regulate with those constraints.
Yeah.
So a kind of imaginary, maybe it's not work in reality, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's not. It doesn't provide a practical solution. So if you look at rendering images, in many cases it's good. But if you look at the rendered images rendered by AI closely, there may be some parts that are different from the original.
Yeah.
It's difficult to control those parts.
Right.
And also it is very difficult to get the same image over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
My father asked me to create a series of images like a cartoon. So there's a wife who's talking to his husband, her husband, and so on.
Yeah.
You cannot easily do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there gotta be a new AI model that can do that.
Regulated constraints.
Yes, as we are in Nadia, we kind of, I mean, Nadia is a different approach because we use the deep learning or natural language model and the controlled data generation, image design generation at the same time.
I see.
Yeah. Again, is different from what we are doing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have another question
Yeah.
from Wayne Law, and he's asking, how should we integrate the AI and local or international building code in BIM? What should we prepare for that? We should learn coding or learn database or cloud, or should we systemize the whole workflow? We do it, we design the whole workflow all over again.
Yeah. So the KBIM SS slide, probably many of you may not be familiar with the rechecking system, design compliance checking system named KBIM SS slide, but it's used a lot in academia and also by many people. It's free. The basic version is free, and it has an embedded AI, large language model. So you can operate the KBIM SS slide. You can run the design compliance checking through natural language. And also it has a module that can read in the new code, updated building code, and then translate that into Python code. It cannot translate everything into Python code, but it works pretty well with the often used patterns. So yes, there are more and more examples like this.
Okay. We have another question from Yu Yuk-chun. Some of the AI models are proposed to be used in the CDE community environment, but how could we control the quality of the result? Let's say the accuracy.
Yeah, that's a very good question because that's been research question to many researchers around the world. So yes, generally, I think let's hear AI modules by AI modules here. I mean, I think that people mean generative AI model or LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT. They are called generative AI models because they are good at generating things. And sometimes in a negative way, we call the generative power or creativity. They have hallucination, but I think that's the same thing as creativity. And those are the same terms. But if they create something we like, then we call it creativity. If they create something that we don't like or we didn't expect, then we call it hallucination, right? So if we want to use generative AI for various tasks in construction, then we need to figure out how to control or suppress the randomness of the generative AI. One way to do it is to use RAG again, retrieval augmented generation, or some other method. There are ways to do it, and so another thing that I proposed, which I'll talk about in October, is the interpret, generate, and check method. Previously, we used interpret and generate in the using generative AI modules, but I think we need to have one more layer called check, and then or check and optimize. This probably should be, it can be done using AI again, but the generative AI again, but we can use rule-based approach too. Then we can give feedback to the generative AI so that we can have high quality information results.
Okay, so we have another question from Michelle, which is when the 4th edition of the BIM Handbook will be launched.
So it's in press, so it'll be published in towards the end of this year or early next year, I think.
So let's wait for another few minutes, see if any more questions.
So regarding the fourth edition, we are done with the manuscript part and everything. So the publisher is proofreading it now and typesetting. So I'm not sure how long it will take.
Yeah, Professor Lee, one last question from myself. I think we are the fortunate generations, right? We're exposed to BIM. BIM give us really a lot of these opportunities. We've come across this era of digitalization processes. So things are moving fast. New technologies, new platforms, new tools are out, regularly throughout the year and days. So what advice do you have for the BIMers? How could they keep themselves competitive, right? On an individual basis or even from a company basis. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe some of your insights will help.
Yeah. So we had a similar discussion in Korea, and I'd like to borrow one answer from one of the BIM managers. So his answer to what we should do in the era of BIM, era of BIM and AI, was that in the future he believes that AI will not replace us people or BIM experts or construction experts, but people who can use BIM and AI will replace people who cannot use BIM and AI. That's one answer. Another one was that, I mean, if you try to learn everything from the beginning, you cannot learn everything. So start with a very simple thing. When I talked about the BIM tools, I think the first thing that people should learn is how to use BIM model viewers. I've learned that even the director of a BIM project does not know how to open a file using a BIM model viewer. And he's the director of the project, but does not know how to open a model, so he cannot view it. So he asks for a set of drawings, large set of drawings. that I think that is stupid. So we should teach everyone on a project to use model viewers and just teach you four things: how to open a file. I mean, they cannot open a file for various reasons. Not because they are stupid, but because they don't know the file structure. So they don't know where the file is in the server. And so that's the first thing to teach. And then how to navigate, how to go to the place that they'd like to see. And then cross-section, create a cross-section. And then capture a view and make a comment. That's it. Or send a message to the engineer.
But nowadays, those people, they are not familiar with BIM. They still have a kind of the fear. How to play around with the model. Unlike you just open a 3D game, right? It's as simple as that, then they'll give a try. If not, then they have a fear of those software, UIs, etc. Maybe AI can really help of that, right?
If they can control
with
voice, verbal commands, they can do it. I mean, model viewers, it's simple, very simple. It's like game. And so it doesn't take long to learn the four functions that I mentioned. So start from the easy thing. That's my advice.
There's one question from the floor.
As the data volume from a BIM project is increasing rapidly, is there a plan in a long run to control the data flow of the whole smart city project? Not talk about one project, but the whole smart city.
I think, I mean, we often talk about single database versus federated databases. I think federated databases is the answer. But to integrate the fragmented databases or distributed databases, we need to have strong symbols, the way to connect things. So that's as far as we can link one from the other, then we are okay, right? Another thing is, of course, we have much better hardware, much better software technologies to manipulate large data volumes. So I think we are okay. We need to figure out how to do it, but I mean, team has to figure out how to do it, but we have, I think, enough technology to handle large data volumes.
Yeah, I agree too. I think on the other side of it, I think most people should be attentive to what we call it in the old days, right? Vertical BIM versus horizontal BIMs.
Yeah.
That when we get into more horizontal BIMs, more distributed data, fragmented data, or even civil BIMs, right? Other than building projects, BIM models, that will increase difficulties, right? Yeah, there's also strategies in our lens department.
Right. Another technologies that, I mean, about in 2010, Chuck Eastman visited Korea and he gave a lecture to a large audience. And he said, somebody asked what might be the future technologies that should be developed for BIM. And he said, interfacing technology or technologies. And he explained that, so there is a gap between different phases of projects, information gap, or different disciplines like structure model to design model. There is a gap, and in the future there should be this gap should be filled with AI technologies, and I believe that because somebody has to think what should be how it should be translated into that. And I gave you an example of translating the structure stick and node model into a physical model. Right? And we have similar technologies like developed by Speckle and BHOM. Those are, I think, I view them more as interfacing technologies, whether they are rule-based or AI-based. Okay. So as we have more interfacing technologies, advanced interfacing technologies, I think the gap between different modules will be reduced, greatly reduced.
Interesting concept. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Maybe let me just wrap it up with my one last question, just a simple question. Maybe our audience, they are all in Hong Kong, not very familiar with the Korea BIM industries. In Hong Kong, actually, we the government trying to set up those BIM rules or the submissions, how they can submit their buildings to the buildings department in Hong Kong. So in Korea, is are the government doing the same thing? Are they setting up those specification requirements? How do they submit those models to the government or dump up all the 2D drawings at the end, right? They want to dump all the 2D drawings only in 3D. But how the Korea working on that?
Yeah. Very good and sensitive question in a way, because Koreans believe that Singapore and Hong Kong are doing much better than Korea in terms of BIM adoption and implementation. Korea was a little bit more advanced in the beginning, but so the government is afraid of like doing things, and also in Korea. A government officer who's in charge of one thing has to move to another place after working on that for 2 years.
Okay.
So there's a job rotation rule.
Okay.
And that makes very difficult to grow BIM experts in the government organization. So they want to just stay safe for 2 years and move to another job. So so there was not so whenever there is a new officer who's very interested in BIM, then we have a strong mandate. Then after he leaves or she leaves, then we have a weaker one.
Okay.
So we are repeating that over and over and over. So now we are still receiving 2D drawings. So our government announced that we are going to receive BIM models from, I think, 2020 or something like that, or earlier, even earlier, but that's not happening yet.
Do they take the e-drawings or only a paper drawing?
Oh, e-drawings.
E-drawings.
Yeah, e-drawings. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hong Kong is similar. They are moving towards from the paper drawing to e-drawing.
I mean, we've been accepting e-drawings only for many years. It's decades. So that's not an issue, but a thing related to the accepting BIM models is that code compliance checking.
Yeah.
We do have advanced technologies for that, but government is still afraid of legal lawsuits and civil complaints related to that. If there is any mistake in the machine interpreted result, and there may be some civil complaints.
Actually, it's similar to Hong Kong, right? Actually, it's similar to Hong Kong. They also have a same concern. And another thing is about if the BIM submission is not a mandate, you just take it as a reference only, then the people, they will not take it seriously, right?
Yeah.
If you say this is the only one and the only media I accept, then they will take it very serious. Got it?
Yeah. Well, but if you look at the mistakes that we make without using BIM, there are probably a lot more. Somebody said that there are car accidents related to Tesla's automated driving functionality, autonomous driving functionality, like 1 or 2 per year.
Yeah.
There are a lot of car accidents made by us.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
But people are not accepting the autonomous driving.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, maybe let me wrap up. All right. Thank you, Professor Ken Lee, from flying all the way from Seoul to Hong Kong today, just to give us a technical webinar. Thank you for his presence and sharing all his insights to all our members and non-members. Thank you again, Professor Ken Lee, students of Professor Charlie Snow. So we hope to invite you again and join us again and share more insights to us. So okay, I think that's all. We're doing very well on time. So almost close to 4 p.m. So bye, all members and non-members.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Thank you.
再见。